researched the subject because my fiance and I are in this situation right now. If you need to get help with rent or just expenses that end up you didn't make enough in your paycheck, or you just need some help and you don't have family, you can go to the VA if you are a military member, or you can go to the government for help. But the only way to get help through those resources is to have a kid living with you. And like me and my fiance, we don't want to have a kid just to be able to help ourselves. When we have a kid, we want to be able to support the child all the way ourselves, the right way. TANF is a block grant program to help move recipients into work and turn welfare into a program of temporary assistance. Under the Welfare Reform Legislation Act of 1996, TANF replaced the old welfare programs known as the Aid to Families, Department of Children, the Job Opportunities, Basic Skills Training, and Emergency Assistance Program. The law ended federal entitlement to assist and instead created TANF as a block grant that provides states, territories, and tribes and federal funds each year. These funds cover benefits and services targeted to needy families. The Deplict Act of 2005 reauthorized the TANF program through this year of 2012 with a renewed focus on work, program integrity, strengthening families through healthy marriage, promotion, and responsible fatherhood. Basically what they're trying to say is they're trying to give money to mothers and fathers so that they can rebuild the family, make it easier on a family. On February 17, 2009, President Obama signed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. In addition to the changes to the TANF program, the Recovery Act established the Emergency Contingency Fund for state TANF programs. It provides up to $5 billion to help states, territories, tribes of this year that have an increase in assistant caseloads, basic assistant expenditures, or in expenditures related to short-term benefits or subsidized employment. Washington and Oregon state residents who are responsible for care of children and who are pregnant, some of the requirements you must meet to include income resource requirements, citizenship, alien status requirements. So you have to be a citizen, basically. Your TANF benefits are based on your family's size and income. Here's an example of the way TANF is supposed to be able to help. A family of 3 with no income would receive a monthly TANF grant of $478. 3 kids, 2 parents, that's 5 people total, no income, and $478 that they get. When a household member starts working, we only count half of the earnings against the grant. If a member of the household starts receiving unemployment or another type of earning income, we count the entire amount against the grant. To be eligible for TANF, your family must have resources of $1,000 or less. Resources, things like checking, savings account, vehicle equity over $5,000. Your case manager will help you understand what income and resources we consider and how it will affect your case. But the only way that you can qualify for this help is to have a kid living with you or have full custody of the child. As it states, people could get on welfare to get some help. Welfare, you didn't technically necessarily have to have a child living with you. Welfare was able to help you out, give you a little, a couple hundred here, just to get you by a little bit to help you out. These days it's $750 for an apartment, a decent apartment. $750. I make $1,000 a month. I would basically have $200 left to be able to survive through the entire month after paying off the rent. And sometimes even rent can be up to $1,000. Rent's not cheap. And then you have your car that you have to pay for. Or if you don't have a car, you have bus fees. That takes away. You got to pay for food. There's all this stuff that you have to pay for, but I can't qualify for them at all because I'm not pregnant and I don't have a kid. I decided to make the right choice and not have a kid. Now the VA, to get help through them, you have to be military or a veteran. My fiance, military veteran. He can qualify for anything of the VA, except for help with rent because he does not have a child living with him. The fiance and I went together to see if we could get help for rent. The first thing that he asked is if we had a kid. No. Of course we don't. So then if there any way I could be pregnant, and of course, knows the answer. I'm not getting pregnant. So the man said there are no funds which we qualify for because the VA goes through TANF. Everything has to go through TANF because they discontinued welfare and everything else. It's all TANF. The only way you qualify, with a kid. So how do you get help if you don't have a kid? If you decide to be the responsible person and not have a child? Right now, as it stands, there's no help except for food stamps, which is just food. And a lot of people, they need the food, but they need the help with the rent. The $750 that you gotta pay for. Most days, people don't want to get into debt. You don't want to have a loan. You don't want to take out a loan because then you have to pay it off later on. And you don't know what's going to happen later on with this economy. We don't know when we're going to pull out and have, jobs readily available, easy to get to. Right now, everything's kind of at a standstill a little bit. Obama's trying to get more jobs out there, but it's just a waiting game. You gotta wait to see what happens. I mean, I'm a CNA too. It's really hard for me to get a job in a hospital right now to get a decent income. Right now, I'm getting paid $10 an hour at a nursing home. That's all I can get right now. $10 an hour, and I make $1,000. And then $300 of that is actually taken out in taxes. You can go to a homeless shelter, but who wants to live in those? And if you live in a homeless shelter, it's not an option if you have a job. So whatever you do right now, I don't qualify for anything of help. Pretty much I have to stay at home. And most people at 22 years of age, their parents want them out of the house, living on their own, doing something with their life. It's a standstill. So if there's any way that you could qualify for help through the government and didn't have a child and had a job, but just needed something to get you by for the month, wouldn't you rather your tax money go for someone who made the right decisions in life and just needs a helping hand? We need to come up with something to help the people who are making the right decisions but just occasionally need just a little bit of some help. Everybody's gone through it, where you need just a little bit of some help to get by. Why don't we use some of that money of tax or the grants and things that Obama's doing? Why don't we try to have some money come in to help the hard-working American that just needs to get by? And that's my issue. Thank you and bye-bye.